Hey, how's it going? So I pulled some cards today to read for you, and boy, did a whole bunch of them fall out. Luckily, I think I've temporarily dealt with my camera shutting off problem, so I feel pretty confident I'm going to be able to actually address all of those once I get my makeshift situation to happen. Okay, there we go. So please observe my signs. God, I hate to lift this up and move it, but because then I have to reseat it, and will I get it the right way? Well, eventually, but who wants to wait forever while I fumble? So hopefully it'll just go right back. Okay, you can settle down there, thing that it was sitting on. Oh, shoot. Uh-oh, sorry. I don't know who I'm apologizing to. Well, that's never happened before, but I guess it means something. I was gonna, should I start with this? So I got, getting sidetracked talking to myself. I got 4 cards that I pulled, meaning to pull 1 from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. And I'm just gonna display them before I start. You know, I went to pull 1 and more came out. So these are the cards that I pulled. And the one that was just sticking to my arm, I had them in order of the way they fell out, but this one it never happened before. For some reason, it was sticking to my shirt, okay? I don't know how that works. There's no reason. I don't know. I'll take it. So, I'm not ready. I'm going to pause you for just a moment. If I can ever find... Okay. I had forgotten to pull my pages from my guidebook, and now I can't see. It seems I've gotten something on my glasses lenses, so let me see if I can polish these up for a second, because I literally can't see. Well, now I really can't see. I mean, I can see, but everything's blurry. My eyes look like cartoon eyes, which would be disturbing, I guess, if I didn't know what was going on. Okay, that's better. The smudge is gone. So the card that was sticking to my arm was Root Girl, and you can see, where's my indicator? There it is. You can see why she's Root Girl. She's got all these hair roots for hair, and I can relate to that. It's not so much right now, but earlier I went out because I saw that there was about an hour's window of opportunity for me to get out and get my exercise and take a ride on my tricycle, while it wasn't raining. And so I did that, but I didn't get out in time or fast enough, because before the hour was up, or I wasn't tracking the time so much, but I have a couple of routes that I like to take, and I had one more right turn and loop around a block, and then I would have ended up on my street that leads into my driveway. But then the storm started, so instead of going right and taking the loop, I just went left and went down the street into my driveway. And by the time I got home, it was windy and the rain had started, and I wasn't wearing a helmet, so my hair was just going everywhere. I looked like Sideshow Bob hair, which I have no problem with. I actually think it's pretty funny, but I since came home and sat down to meditate and fell asleep, as I often do. But I had put a wool cap on my head to kind of tame my hair down, because it really was like big and all over and in pieces, and I'm not going for that look right now. So I don't have the Root Girl hair anymore, but I can have it. And the thing about hair is, it's not just the dead stuff that comes out of you that gets stuck in your mouth. Hair is powerful. It's like an antenna. And when we cut it really short, even for like me, if I do that, it's really freeing and I don't have to worry about all of this. And I have issues with what my hair does, but when we do that, we are like cutting off our link to certain energies. And this is something I typically associate with men, like Native American men, because that's where I first even heard of it. When the Army started recruiting in World War II these scouts from Native communities, and they discovered that they used, I don't remember which tribe it was, but some tribes' language was incomprehensible to translation, and so the Germans couldn't get through it. And that's how, one way, the natives helped, but in another way they wanted them as scouts because they had seen them, you know, like in their natural habitat, being really excellent and eerily correct, just like supernaturally great scouts. And then, you know, when you join the Army, they put you through this system where they, I don't know, they kind of ball you up and spit you back out and you're somebody else. But in that process, they had them cut their long hair. And I always thought, ever since I learned that, no, you cut their power locks. So earlier in life, I was into dreadlocks. Oh, I mean, I still am. And by into them, I mean wearing them myself. And I also enjoy them on other people. But I felt like a certain something about that particular hairstyle. I can't even explain it, but when I learned about that story about the native soldiers, that's when it occurred to me, like, that is a source of power. So, this person seems to be looking at something. I would say it's a crystal ball, but everything's kind of dark. And in the root girl's hair, you can see a little tiny bit of a feathered headdress, which I had not ever noticed before. Speaking of Native Americans, the first time I pulled this card out of this deck. So, but also, let me see if I can get it in the right place, because yesterday I was pointing at the wrong thing in the picture of something, but, I mean, this is, did you not get I can't see good? That may play a role sometimes if I'm pointing to the wrong thing, so excuse me. I'm just going to put the pointer right on it. So, right there is a little thing that looks like, now it looks like there's sort of a hand going over it, but there's a hand coming up from underneath that is holding it, I believe. Where'd it go? Hard to look at it all backwards. Well, it's got a hand on top of it anyway. It's in there. Why does it look like I'm pointing to the wrong place? Well, anyway, also, there's a face of the root girl right there, and she's looking down. See, that's why I see it looks like she's looking down here into this. It doesn't, I'm not sure what you might be seeing, but for me, that's where the dark, dark crystal ball is that she's sort of gazing into, and she's really intent. I mean, it's almost like it's darkness. It's almost like she's moving around like in a dream world. So those are my impressions of how it looks. The subtitle is The Disowned Self. Wow, I mean, that could apply to cutting off your power locks and changing your whole self, and your disowned self is lying in a pile on the floor, lacking of the power it once had to guide you to be a supernatural scout, which could be a metaphor for all kinds of places in your life that require finding direction or are somewhat of a mystery, and you have to sort of travel through experiences to get to where the mystery starts to make sense. Now I'm going to read from the guidebook about the root girl. The disowned self, hidden beauty, the need for acceptance and love. Root girl sits shivering, unclean, and naked at the base of the tree of the self. She is unloved, unwanted, and shunned for her deformities. She has no home, but it is safe, burrowing underground to dwell near the deepest roots of this sacred tree. Who is she to you? Could this urchin be one part of you that reintegrated can lead you to wholeness and true purpose? Is that a metaphor for regrowing back your hair, regrowing your hair? God, that was hard to get out. This is a part of you, the embodiment of a deeply flawed perception of your failures, manifesting as guilt and shame. When you project envy onto others or any emotion or instinct that you've learned to repress or deem unnatural, it's this homeless child self crying for attention, acceptance, and love. You want to lash out, ignore it, push it aside, all the while refusing to acknowledge this ugly quality as belonging to you. But if you would only look into the root girl's eyes, you would see the beauty and the unmet need, your unmet need. You would realize that this part of you asks for your compassion and understanding. This part of you was born when you were wounded and conditioned to believe you're not whole, that your expression of self is somehow too much or too little. You may have even inherited this creature from your ancestors. Thanks. However, it was this child self came to be curled up at the root of your sacred tree self. It's time to welcome her into your heart. When you do, everything you've been searching for becomes illuminated. Staring into a dark ball and I guess not being able to see very well because you have disowned part of yourself. That clashes with my hair metaphor unless I go further and it makes sense, but but that's my thing with the hair, though. It's not really anything the card or the guidebook is talking about. But I know that those men, because they spoke of it, it was disorienting for them to have cut off their hair and then lost their inability to track the way they had been able to before because they were lacking their antenna. And I would imagine that would make you feel pretty lost from yourself and insecure and just at a loss. It would be harder to determine the lay of the land, that's for sure, if you didn't have that really important sense of direction of it's more than just visual seeing. It's also sensing in all the other ways, so it's enhanced beyond just seeing. Boy. However it was, this child self came to be curled up at the roots of your sacred tree self. It's time to welcome her into your heart. When you do, everything you've been searching for becomes illuminated, and your path lights up with renewed purpose. When you come to love Root Girl and claim her as your own, accepting her and your humanity, she is transformed, just as you are. Then all manner of magic begins to arrive in abundant form. Look for the beauty. Well, the thing that I get right away from what I just read was, once you have made this decision, and maybe it wasn't something that you meant to do or had to do because you were, for instance, in the military, and they don't have no long-haired hippies. But maybe you went there because you wanted to be a part of something bigger or serve your country or I mean, you were willing to go in there and make a sacrifice. But at the same time, if you are this rhetorical native soldier, you're also lost. Like, all of your normal faculties for finding your way are disrupted temporarily until your hair grows back. And I'm going to move on from this card, but the last thing I want to say about it is, I don't know how quickly or well it was understood that the trackers that were so amazing when they were recruited all of a sudden could not do it anymore to that standard. And it must have been hard for the military people to understand, because they have a completely different culture, probably. Like, most people not in a native indigenous tradition type situation, you're not going to be thinking about the same things. You're not going to be thinking along the same lines. There's a lot more sort of unity with nature and the earth, and that's not the case in the army or the military. That's more about blowing stuff up and overpowering people in places, and it's just like a clash of ideals. So one of the other cards I pulled was dances on one foot. This moves me now to think of, again, my government, but not just it, like the way that it is affecting the country and its constituents, and who's behind what to what degree. And I don't mean like, I mean behind like a backer, like a fan, I guess, of the politician, which there is some of that. Like, some of them are becoming pop stars in a way with certain people that appeal to them, and there's a lot of people that they're on the right, I'll just say that right now, but they're very loud, and their presence, they want to be, they're loud, and I could even say obnoxious on purpose, because hear us, damn it, hear us. But it's like, you were never not heard. These people that are complaining and that are out there and sort of raising sand, it's like, I've heard this a lot of times said about, like, MAGA. Or even just the right, the conservatives, will make a problem where there isn't one. For instance, the Joe Biden impeachment that seems to have just crumbled because they tried to do the trial and the conviction without any investigation. So when they tried to go into Congress and bring all this up and get it started, their witnesses had witnessed nothing, so it just kind of all fell apart. So it's like they're hopping around all like frantic, to be heard and to make this huge impression, and I think to really change minds, but I don't know if it's working the way they intended it to. The subtitle on here is Balancing Act, and I think that's kind of what the two parties in our government always have to try and maintain, is a balancing act, although I can't say it's one-sided. I can say one side's really loud about it, but the other side on the left is, let me put it this way. There are some good Republicans still there. They're just completely overshadowed amongst these sort of rebellious right-wing people that are, I mean, it's catching on with more of the right, it seems like, as if it's a virus, which I know they love. And so, same goes for the left. There are people, like, hard at work to try to maintain at least a semblance of order in the country when there's all these loud people. And I've said it before, their aim seems to be to disrupt rather than to help or create order or make stuff happen for their constituents that is tangible. Like, you can call people all the names in the world and you can say whatever you want about them, but none of that balances the budget or buys gas for your car or food to put in your kid and yourself. It's like, the sort of stability of the way things are supposed to be run is kind of teetering on one foot because of all of this. Gosh, I don't even know what to call it. Michigas? It's just, I can't even really explain it concisely. There's a lot of forces and a lot of things, and it's not just in the government. There are contributing forces, contributors to these people that make them say things and do things that are, like I said, not necessarily any good to constituents, but to that corporate entity or that former president that just wants to be heard so bad, even though, like, you're not in it, dude. You're on the side. You're just making a big commotion, and people can follow you all they want, but you're not in it. You know, you can have this framework and belief that who's a real president and who's in it, but what the truth is look, I was watching a show today and there was a interview of people at a Trump rally, and the interviewer was asking, what is a good thing that, can you name one good thing that President Biden has done? And they're like, no, he hasn't done anything right. And the guy says, well, what has he done wrong? Like, name one thing. And they're like, oh, there's so many, I can't name one. Which means you don't know any, because if there were a minute, you could name one. I can name one that these anti-Biden people are. And not that I'm like the queen of Biden or anything, but let's face reality. Did you throw out those stimulus checks? Did you just get rid of them and just say, I don't need this Biden money? I bet not. I bet they took that money right quick. So the people not even in the government also have a lot of sway in a way. And that keeps the government, at least, teetering on one foot. And the last one of these I pulled was Galactic Mushroom. The Divine Matrix is the subtitle, so I'm just gonna hold that up for you to take a look. And I didn't really talk much about what this looks like, and I don't really have much to say about it. I'm just gonna show it because I didn't. This is the dancing on one foot. It's a plant, but it looks like other things, and that's a camouflage, and it's on purpose. And that is something also that is confusing about the government, because, like I said, people are doing things that, I didn't say it today, but I've said it many times. People in that government, our government, are doing things that are detrimental to the operation of our government. The forward motion, the positivity, the doing what it's intended to do. Like, even if it's not making everybody happy politically, what they want, if it's working, then everybody can basically go on with their life. But not if they're fighting to stay upright and teetering between all these forces and, you know, dancing on one foot and saying one thing and meaning another. So, Galactic Mushroom. Oh, wow. You know what it kind of reminds me of? Shoot, I don't know the name of it. There is a mushroom that has a blooming process, I get, and it's very penis shaped, but this particular one does some kind of thing where it sort of sheds its foreskin, I guess, and then also emits a bunch of spores like that golden dusty light there that has a stink. I'm gonna make a note of it and see if I can remember to put the name of that stinky mushroom in the, I'm just gonna call it the collection box, because that's where I'm gonna collect the information that I'm then gonna give you. So that's where I'm gonna put it. Stinky mushroom. So I'm going to read about the galactic mushroom card from the guidebook. The divine matrix, the intricate complexity of life. Well, I'll tell you one thing, mushrooms and fungi in general are intricately woven into the complexity of life. And I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I believe that mushrooms are like a Schrodinger's cat type situation. If you know that formula, it's sort of like the question of, if a tree falls in the forest, does anyone hear it? I don't know. I mean, it's like someone kind of has to be there to answer that, right? So with the Schrodinger's cat thing, is, I don't remember the formula exactly. I would advise you to look it up if you're interested, but I'm going to try and paraphrase the way that I understand it to be. The idea is there's a cat in the box, but you do something or something happens where the cat could be dead in the box if you do this, and you don't know until you open the box. I believe that's how it goes, but let me add that, because otherwise I'm not sure that's it. Explain Schrodinger's cat like it's gonna be all simple. Okay, but anyway, the reason why I brought those up is because they sort of describe the quantum effect of being in more than one place at once, essentially. I guess I should have said that in the first place. But that is quantum behavior, so quantum physics behavior. And if you think I'm going to explain that, you got another thing coming. You really got to look that up on your own. I just gave you a little tiny bit of like how it kind of works. Just the teeniest, tiniest sliver. Anyway. The divine matrix, the intricate complexity of life. You might have been thinking and acting like you were only one in the dream creating your life. The galactic mushroom arrives as a playful yet potent reminder that you need to get with your higher power. The universal laws are not only for your benefit. The law of attraction does not exist to serve up your desired outcome. The matrix of consciousness, called Source or God, Spirit, or many other names, is intricately woven into life. There is so much complexity that the human mind cannot comprehend all of the moving parts. Quantum physics! It's impossible to see beyond what you already know. Like, is the cat in the box dead or alive? Well, if the box has no holes and you don't open the box and the cat don't open the box, what do you think's going to happen? There's only a finite amount of air in a box. I mean, if you don't let the cat out in time, the cat is going to suffocate and not be alive anymore. Where did I go? The universal laws are, okay. The matrix of consciousness, I already read that too. There is so much complexity that the human mind cannot comprehend all of the moving parts. It's impossible to see beyond what you already know. just as the head of a mushroom is clearly visible above the soil, but not the living biome below, which, I mean, the way is, from what I learned, from what I understand, from what I learned, is root systems in general are far more widespread than we would imagine. And the mushroom civilization, fungi people, also are widespread, and it's not just through like a mushroom. They're also lichen and other types of fungi that there are. So it's diverse and it's flexible, and also I believe has a quantum component that makes it not just worldwide but universal. It can signal and communicate to other species here on the planet, and like I'm having a hard time articulating what that would look like out in space, out beyond what we can just immediately see and hear. But I feel like that's their level of ability to communicate. I don't know with who, but they have such a vital role to life on this planet. I can't imagine that it's different out wherever they're sending their spores. So, the thread-like mycelium of fungi from vast, intricate networks underground connecting different life forms with one another in a kind of internet of the plant kingdom. I guess I could have just read that. It's a much better explanation than what I tried to say. Imagine the divine matrix serving in the same way, connecting the individual consciousness with that of divine, like quantum fungi radio or something. The galactic mushroom reminds you that your dreams and desires are heard. This is a call to faith and trust. Okay, I just have to interject with the, it talked about connecting with the individual consciousness, connecting the individual consciousness with that of the divine. Okay, so this has to do with like the law of attraction and praying and wishing and pining for whatever. One of the sources that I pay a lot of attention to is the ninth council, the Arcturians' ninth dimensional council. And they are part of the angelic realm, even though they're ETs. I know some people might find that difficult to understand, but if God made some of everything, why wouldn't he make that everything part too as well? And so what they say is that if you pray or ask or want whatever, something, if you are connecting with them or another entity of spirit, then your prayers can go to them. Like you could pray to God, or you could just be praying, but you're like really connected with the Arcturians, like more than, say, like personally I talk to Arcturians like every day. God sometimes, not like the Arcturians. Why? There's an answer for another time, but what the Arcturians say is that if you pray, you only have to really say it like one time, and also they already kind of know what's on your mind if you're connected with them. But I guess it's nice to be asked, and so, but you don't got to do it once. You don't have to like belabor the point into the ground. You just have to give it time, and part of giving it time is to adjust your energy to a receiving mode, and I had to learn how to do that. So that is a reason why prayers don't come as fast as we'd like them to, because we kind of lose faith if it takes a long time. And when we do that, then you're getting out of the receptive energy and repelling the thing that you actually want coming towards you that was already on the way, but you didn't know because it was taking long. What I have discovered to be the basic solution for myself with that is to, and this is hard, but get out of the worrying period and thinking about the things that could be before anything's even happening, and shut up and get out of the way and stop making interference for the thing that you want to make its way toward you. It took me a while to sort of position my mental space that way, and it's fresh. I just learned how to do this, so I'm not like constantly maintaining it all the time, but it's a learning process like anything else, and it's behaving like anything else. I have to do it for a while. I have to make mistakes. I have to get used to it. I have to like rewire my brain. I have to make, move the wrinkles around and change stuff. So, but that is why if you pray for something and it takes a long time and you're like, where is it? What happened? And okay, so I brought all that up for a reason. A couple of weeks ago, I had no money and I was out of cannabis, and that's a big deal to me. So, but I also, I was like, oh shoot, man, that's a bummer. I want that. Like, I like it. It helps me in certain ways. It's not just recreational. So, I used it to get off opiate medications for my particular illness, and it works a lot better, actually, and it doesn't, well, anyway, that is why I, need it, but otherwise, just recreationally, I can let it go for a while. Not having it for a week or 2 weeks is not at all like running out of tobacco cigarettes. It can be done way more easily, so, that was my feeling, oh my gosh, I'm out, I have no money, but I'm not gonna die or anything for a couple of weeks, which is when I knew I would be able to replenish my supply. In the meantime, though, once I had said, oh shoot, I need money and I need to get more cannabis, and I knew nothing was gonna happen for a couple of weeks, and I just kind of let it go. What do you think happened? I got money and I was able to buy some. So I got the money first, and then this evening, this would be 3-4 weeks later, someone that I know just came by out of the blue and tapped on my door and just gave me a half an ounce. So if you shut up and get out of the way, the things that you ask for will come. Wow, I'm so sidetracked now. What was I talking about? Okay, so the galactic mushroom reminds you that your dreams and desires are heard. This is a call for faith and trust. Whatever intention you hold consistency with faith and hope first manifests in the unseen realms. Whether or not you can see it working on your behalf, eventually you see the evidence play out in the serendipitous events that work in your favor, seemingly outside the law of cause and effect. What? Okay, so that's a really concise description of what I just said. Your most beautiful results are being birthed right now, not just for you, but for the highest good of all. And I think that's another aspect of it. What you wish for, in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to put it this way. I think the least harm that it causes overall is a good thing. I think it's the desired goal. Don't mess stuff up. So I also pulled the second card. I pulled a different card from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and it was Elephant. And right away when I picked it up, as soon as I saw it, I heard Indomitable, and that is certainly a trait of the elephants. And when I think about them, which I don't do very often because it kind of makes me sad to think about the life they live, because they live outside. They don't live in enclosures. They don't have thumbs. I mean, they have prehensile trunks, which are pretty good, but you don't see them building stuff, right? They're not like us. So living outside the way they do, that's completely natural and normal for them, except for the human intrusion upon their territory, upon their habitat. That's what makes me uncomfortable and sad. and they've survived for millennia in their form, so there's something in that to me. Like, they have just kept going regardless of what all the little fighty humans around them are doing, and they just, like all animals, maintain that animal sense, which, boy, I feel like we humans could use more of it. Cats and dogs are nicer to each other than humans are, and that's not good. And if we have problems, real ones, not ones that we make up to suit a narrative, like Joe Biden is terrible, but I'll just pocket that stimulus money and not, give him any credit for that, which is kind of stinky, But we need to get in a state of mind more like this, where all of the external stuff is not that important or real. Like, truly, we lived without cable and Wi-Fi and electric cars, and even cars, for that matter, for hundreds of years, thousands of years, more, I guess. However long we were people walking around doing people stuff, animals were always here, and they have it down to a science. Like, they don't need all the crap that we need. In fact, the crap that we need is screwing up our crap and their crap. Well, you know what I mean. It's screwing stuff up. Like, really rich people, they're like screwing up the balance of things. So they're making it that everybody else has to live like this all the time. Like, they don't want you to have anything. You don't have any right to anything, but we want to work you to death to pay for all of our things. That's unnatural. That's not right. That's no way to live. That's just like my opinion, mainly. But I can say this: I'd rather be this and this than lost in the wilderness, trying to find my way in the dim light, searching for answers in the dark, feeling insecure and not knowing even what I'm about, and trying to live in the world pulled all over the place, back and forth by all kinds of forces, when no, you don't even really have to participate in that. You can still be in the world with all of the stuff and be your good, authentic, natural, loving, not harmful self. That's it. Thank you and good night.